To say I wanted to be a Bollywood actress when I grew up, when this is so hard.
My biggest piece of advice to you guys is to recognize that you're young, you're 20 and 21. Not many other schools in the world are this crazy about recruiting, so understand that a job you get this summer, or honestly within the next couple of years, isn't that big of a deal. So spend your time enjoying school. Recruiting is important, but it's not that important. And I think that's one of the most important things to consider.
Be resourceful and make use of Ivy's strong alumni network. Not only will it open up new opportunities, but it'll provide an avenue to look at diverse roles in diverse industries. You never know which conversation might just spark your passion.
At the end of the day, everyone's gonna have a job. For me anyways, recruiting was pretty tough, especially through February to April, which was pretty dry. I barely heard back from recruiters. However, at the end of April, I was lucky enough to land a job at a startup, and while I was pretty discouraged initially, I realized that there were a lot of valuable skills and opportunities that I would only get an internship at a startup than at a large firm. For instance, I had to consult a client all on my own, which was a really amazing experience that I really wouldn't have gotten at a bigger consulting firm. And because of that, I was able to leverage that skill, these skills that I developed, these opportunities for a larger firm, and that I'm pretty excited about to be joining. So I just want to let you know, just think long term. Just know that this job, this summer internship, is not an end-all be-all, but only the beginning.
So I would say don't be afraid to reach out to top senior execs. Everyone says to email the analyst, but I think it shows ambition and confidence if you go straight to the top. And the worst thing that'll happen is that it'll funnel down to HR, which looks great coming from a senior exec, or they just won't answer. So definitely don't be afraid to do that. Also, don't be afraid to try something new in a different industry. Honestly, when I had initially applied to the job that ended up being my internship and full-time position, I thought it was something completely different. And then as I started to learn more about it, I absolutely loved it. So had I not applied to this job initially, I would have never experienced something new and ended up doing something that I absolutely love and wouldn't have pictured myself in any other situation now. So don't be afraid to try something new.
So I think one of my biggest downfalls while I was recruiting was networking. I didn't realize how important it was. I didn't realize that people cared about it so much. I thought it was mostly just grades, extracurriculars, what you've done in the past, that type of thing. So going into the recruiting process, I was really stressed out because I had done significantly less networking than the rest of my friends. But something that I realized was that when you do get that opportunity to interview and when you do get that opportunity to talk to recruiters or go to info sessions, you have to take advantage of it to the best of your ability. So no matter what you've done in the past or anything like that, just take any opportunity that you get and go for it.
Recruiting is pretty hard. I found it hard at least. I remember having vivid memories in January of going upstairs and filling out every single application that was going to be due at 4 p.m. every single day. And I think it resulted in about 120 different applications with about 3 responses. And all of those interviews, they were great, but it didn't turn out the way I really wanted. And after I didn't get those interviews, I really looked introspectively to try and figure out what is it that I really want out of a summer job. And apart from money and other kinds of things, the biggest thing that you should try and find out of your job is probably learning, because that's what really helped me in my summer job last year. So when I was able to do this, I looked inside, found a job that I actually really liked, and I used that job to find another great job for full-time recruiting. Things work out in the end. Don't spray and pray. Good luck with recruiting.
But I think one of the biggest things to remember when you're doing interviews is just be yourself. It sounds kind of cliche, but it really makes a difference when you're looking at your recruiter or your interviewer and you're thinking of them just as another person and talking to them just as you would any of your friends. I think that's the best way you can help the recruiter get to know you as like the true person you are, and also it relaxes you and lets you talk calmly and lets you think through what you're going to say as if you would normally talk to another person, instead of just spewing out random things to try to get the recruiter to like you. I know a lot of people when they're recruiting, they try to present the best image of themselves, and sometimes that's not the true self, and that might work for the first interview, but if that keeps going on, even if you get the job, if you're lying about who you are, you might not end up liking who you're working with. So yeah, be yourself.
Make sure that you do something that you're passionate about, whether it's sports or retail or the restaurant industry or whatever. whatever you do this summer is not going to determine what you do in the next 5, 10, 20 years. So it's important that you spend your summers in university doing something that you love.
So one of the more important things to remember as you go into the interview process is you've kind of already done all the hard work, right? Like you've spent your time working on the cover letter and resume and all the extracurriculars that you might have done before Ivy. So now's the time to really just relax, be yourself, and be able to communicate that to them. You don't have to worry about trying to get the perfect story and you're like, tell me about yourself part. It's literally just about thinking, oh, well, I've kind of already done what I had to do. This is who I am. And now when I go into the interview, all I have to do is tell them about it. And you and I both know that's easier. That's probably the easiest part of this entire process.